welcome to prompt number 45. Let's get into it. Today we have sword and lighthouse. Okay, here we go. So as you will see here, I completely forgot about wanting to make these illustrations holiday themed, and I didn't do any of these sketches holiday themed. But that's okay, I ended up saving myself later. So right away, my only idea was having this, I guess, giant snake monster coiled around this lighthouse and then having someone holding the sword ready to battle it. But of course, I did want to try different compositions, so later on I put the lighthouse in the background and had maybe this girl escaping or sneaking out in the middle of the night with a sword, and she was prepared to have to battle off whatever she had to on her adventure. Other than that, I honestly didn't have that many ideas and kind of puttered off there at the end. It wasn't until I sat down to do the pencils on this illustration that I realized that it wasn't holiday themed at all, so this was actually quite an easy fix, thankfully for me. All I had to do was Google gingerbread lighthouse, and there were plenty of pictures for me to reference off of. There are actually kits that you can make a gingerbread lighthouse out of. I don't think they're common, but I did see a couple of pictures where it was used from a kit. Now, I didn't copy any one design or picture from Google, but I did take inspiration from a lot of parts from these lighthouses. Of course, there was a particular way that I wanted my gingerbread lighthouse to look, so none of the lighthouses really, I guess, stood up to, my expectations, but not saying they weren't good. Now, there were a lot of detailed ones, but I do like to keep my gingerbread creations a little bit on the simple side, and I don't know, there were just some aspects that I did want to keep into my gingerbread lighthouse. I will talk about the design later, but the main thing that I did change besides the gingerbread lighthouse was, of course, the snake that was coiled around the lighthouse. This was also quite an easy fix because there is a candy that's sort of like a snake. It's not a snake, but it's a gummy worm. And I thought this would be an even cuter idea because gummy worms have that translucent sort of jelly-likeness to them, and I thought this would be a really good chance for me to practice painting a texture like that and practice painting things that were kind of see-through or being distorted, I guess, through a translucent something. So this was definitely something that I wanted to tackle and practice because it's not something that I push myself to often do. And because this gummy worm is see-through, of course I had to put the gingerbread inside of him. Poor little gingerbread man went on an adventure, it left its gingerbread home, and here it is being eaten by this giant gingerbread, nope, not gingerbread worm, gummy worm. And of course, the sword is on the ground. It was fighting this gummy worm with its gingerbread sword, but it was eaten and it dropped the sword on the ground. However, will the gingerbread man get out of this one? I guess you're gonna have to tune in to the next prompt. Except, that's not how this is gonna work, but I don't know, maybe I'll have a gingerbread funeral next prompt. Better not hope that funeral isn't the next prompt. Uh-oh. That would be really funny. Now I really want to make a gingerbread cemetery. So for the sides of the lighthouse, I didn't want to just make it regular old gingerbread, and one of the techniques that I see a lot when I Google gingerbread things is that you can put icing on the side of a house or a lighthouse or something, and then put halves of jelly beans on the sides to make it look like cobblestone. I really like this idea because it, I guess, gave more variety to my gingerbread illustrations instead of just having yet another block of brown on there, but I really like to, I guess, experiment with what flavors of jelly beans are these? I couldn't help but just think that these are probably from the Bamboozled or Bean Boozled pack because these are some really gross looking colors. Like charcoal, smoke, dirt, I guess, maybe vomit, because these are all very brown and gray colors, and those aren't fun things like cotton candy and cherry and whatever. I don't know. I don't like jelly beans, to be honest. But to be honest, I really wasn't that concerned about making jelly bean colors that were actually flavors. I just wanted to do some colors that would actually maybe kind of be stone, but you could also smudge it and say that it was a flavor, which is why I call them the Bean Boozled flavors, because they're all dark and gross looking. Now I will, if you will allow me, to have one complaint about my illustration. I wish that I pushed the shadow on the left side of the lighthouse just a little bit more because it is not very dark at all, and in fact, you can barely tell that I even put gray on the side of the lighthouse. It almost looks white, and it really makes it look flat, and I do wish I pushed those shadows just a little bit darker. I usually try to push myself to make the shadows really dark, but I don't know why I was so scared about putting dark shadows on this lighthouse, but that is my one complaint, and I will complain no more. Maybe. I did have fun putting layers of red on the gummy worm, and I did limit my color palette as I did on the first one. I know there's been a lot of brown in my illustrations, but I do like to limit the color palette because it makes it less rainbowy, and I think when you have a lot of colors going on, things can get really busy, and I really like the way that color can unify an illustration. So we do have this reddish brown, the red of the gummy worm, and then later on I color the gumdrops on the lighthouse purple. I was thinking about making them red. I know I didn't want to do green because I feel like green gummy drops are supposed to represent bushes and plant things on a gingerbread house, so I didn't want to put bushes on top of this lighthouse. So I kept them purple because purple are it's made from red, so I thought it would help unify it a little bit. And it's just like a deep red color that kind of matches in with those purpley gray jelly beans that I also put on the lighthouse. So I think it really helps the illustration stay unified and it's not this rainbowy mess. So there is quite a lacking of green. Even on the gingerbread man, I put a little bit of green that was shining through the gummy worm body, but there's really not that much. Oh, and I guess the top of the lighthouse is made out of those sugar sheets you can make when you boil sugar, and you can make these clear, hard sheets. It's something advanced that you would only see in those bake-off shows, but I thought it would be a really good idea because the top of lighthouses are made out of glass so that the light can shine through. So I suppose if you made this in real life, you could put a candle up there. And that is that for this prompt. Let me know in the comments, does the Ginger Man survive out of this one? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!